Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is you're watching this video. I want to come to you and talk to you about living outside the box. Have you ever heard the phrases, "Don't put me in a box," "I don't belong in a box," "That ain't me," or "You don't know me like that"? What they're simply saying is, don't put your limitations on me. Don't try to make me fit into your idea of what I should be. Ever since we were born, there have been things all around us trying to get our attention. Why do they want to get our attention? It's because they want to have some type of influence over us. How do they do that? Through different forms of media, such as the TV, the internet, and the radio. All those things that we hear or that we see have some type of influence over us. Whether it's the clothes that we wear, the things that we drink, places that we go, all of those things are incorporated into those different forms of media. Shoot, commercials are simply that. They're there to tell you what to buy, where to go, and even give you a reason why. But I do have a question for you. When we're looking at all these different types of influences, how do they portray our youth? Unfortunately, what we see on TV is they show them on drugs. They'll show them mean and angry, in and out of jail or juvie. They're rude. They're uneducated. They over-sexualize our youth. What do all those things have in common? All those things are negative. They're negative as to how they're portraying what our youth looks like. That's not our youth. Most of our youth are kind, they're family oriented, they're educated. Not only are they educated, they've in high school getting good grades, they graduated high school, maybe in college or in trade school, and some of them even have their own businesses. They're not on drugs, they're not in and out of jail. They're passionate about their community and their family. So there are positive things that our youth are doing, but this stuff is not shown anywhere in mainstream. We may have a show like a Grownish or a Blackish that may show them, but I challenge you to show me something else other than those two shows that show our youth in a positive light. If you find something, tag me in it at Words by Wimberly. But from what I've seen, they've been negative. And if they do show something that we may be overcoming, there's always some type of struggle involved. And a lot of the times, there's a stranger that comes through and actually helps us overcome that, versus us being able to support ourselves to get over something. So remember, the name of this presentation is Live Outside the Box. The box represents all of the negative stereotypes that are used to try to control us. Remember, we just talked about a few of them. Us always being angry, being uneducated, being in and out of jail, being on drugs, being in gangs, all those different images or thoughts that are put upon us. You'll sometimes hear the term control the narrative. What that is doing is controlling what you think, how you think, why you think, in order to control what you do. An example of somebody that controls the narrative as a job is a lawyer. That is their job. Their job is to go into a courtroom and make everybody in the courtroom see the case from their perspective. Good, bad, or ugly, that is their job, is to make people see it the way they see it. They're good at it. They get paid a lot of money to do it. But another one that we see all the time, and depending on what you're watching or how you're watching it, you may or may not notice, and that is the news. If you look at a story, I'm watching it neutrally or reading about it on the internet, and then I watch news programs and how they go in and frame it, I can see one story or read about one story and hear how MSNBC approaches it and how Fox News approaches it. The same story, two different narratives, because they want to control how their audience perceives whatever just happened. Once again, controlling the narrative. Now, because it's all around us and we can't avoid it, how do we overcome it? Well, overcoming it is going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight because the influence didn't just come on us overnight. They've been doing that since we've been born. So in order to do that, we have to basically, as I said, step through it. I'm going to give us 3 initial steps to take. This isn't all of them, but it's at least 3 of them to allow us to move forward, and then we can get into other ones later on. But the first thing that we need to do, of course, is simply recognize that there is a box. There are stereotypes that are placed on us that are trying to influence us. Jail, drugs, poverty, homelessness, uneducated, lazy, all those things are being put on us. We have to recognize that. And it may not be that deliberate, but when you go home and after you finish this video and you start watching TV, watch some of the things. You'll see it in commercials. You'll see it on TV shows. Remember, I challenge you to go in and find a TV show that actually portrays our youth in a positive manner and to tag me at Words by Wimberly to let me know what show you found, because I don't think there's really any current shows that actually do it other than potentially Blackish and Grownish. But that's a challenge. Let me know. But the second thing that we need to do, once we recognize that there is a box, we now need to go through and control the box. Basically, control the narrative. And then I say control the box, but really what we want to do is completely destroy the box. We want to go in and change the narrative so that the narrative that they're putting out there is all the negatives. Well, we don't want that to be the norm. We want to change the narrative so that what we see on a regular basis are all the positive things. So we see the graduation parties. We see, the celebration of life. We see, people caring about the community, building up the communities, supporting each other, all these different things that we don't normally see. What we see on the news is there was a party, and the only reason they talk about a party is because there was gunfire. They're not talking about what the party was about. They're talking about what happened at the party. So let's celebrate the person who the party was for and not the incident that happened at the party. But we don't see that. Once again, controlling the narrative. They're pinpointing the negative piece of the story versus saying, hey, this person, there was a high school graduation with 3 different families. That's the part that we need to talk about, not the ignorance that happened at the party. Once again, controlling the narrative. Now, I know for me, that was a big part, was changing what I thought. The way I changed what I thought was changing how I saw things. Once again, my community was my local neighborhood and my city. That was pretty much it. I traveled to other cities off and on, but that was really the nexus of where I was just that simple area. But because of my job, I had an opportunity to become a corporate trainer. And becoming a corporate trainer, that now expanded my nexus to not just being my local community, but now being the entire United States. I visited at least 43, 45 of the actual states of the United States. I would not have done that if I had stayed in that box. If I had stayed in that box and said, you can only do this. The thing that we joke about, but is very limiting, is the phrase that we always hear, Black folks don't do. Why not? Why don't we? Because we never have. We've never had the opportunity. Sky's the limit at this point. There's nothing that we are not allowed to try to do. Yeah, you go back, 30, 40, 50 years beyond that. Yeah, there were limitations. We're a little bit beyond that now. There's still people that aren't going to like it, but we have the ability to go in and try things now. So there is no area where we say Black folks don't do. It's just that you haven't done it. or your local area hasn't done. Nobody in your neighborhood has done it. That doesn't mean it hasn't been done. And with that being said, you can always be the first one to do it. You can prove to them that black folks do. You know, look at Tiger Woods. We didn't golf. When Tiger Woods got into golf, that's all we talked about. There were people golfing that had never picked up a golf club before. But Tiger Woods picked up one and he dominated. Everybody wanted to be Tiger Woods. So we do. We just have to get out of the mindset of limitations. That once again is that box. Get out of this box and live freely. Once you're outside of this box, there's no limitation. I don't care how big or small you make that box. That box is going to have limits. Your life should not have limits. There should be nothing that you don't try. Why? Because you can. Don't get in the mindset of, I'm only allowed to do this. No, you're not. Do it. Now, that brings me to my third point. Don't be afraid to be the only one doing it. If I had taken that mindset, none of my friends were doing corporate training. None of my friends were in engineering. Nobody I hung out with was in the career that I was in. What was I supposed to do? Now all of a sudden shift and not pursue this because nobody around me had done it? No, I was the first. People knew that I traveled for a living. People knew that I trained. But more importantly, they knew that I traveled. That was something nobody was really doing. Actually, I would say nobody was doing. I was always on the road. When I first started in my early 20s, none of my friends were doing that. I was going all over the States. I was literally on the road 2 to 3 weeks out of the month when I first started doing this. I enjoyed every bit of it. But once again, nobody else around me was doing it. Was I supposed to stop because nobody else was? No, I set the example that said this is possible. What are you going to set the example for? What are you going to do that nobody else is doing? And don't be afraid to do it by yourself. If you're looking to get a scholarship to college, whether we're talking academic or athletic, you're going to have to do something that nobody else is doing. There's a saying out there, to get what you've never gotten before, you're going to have to do what you've never done before. So you're going to have to change your regular routine in order to accomplish the goal that you're looking for. Don't be afraid. There's a movie called Akeelah and the Bee, starring Keke Palmer, Lawrence Fishburne, and Angela Bassett. Akeelah was a young girl that was going to the National Spelling Bee. And she was very dedicated to it. Initially, her family was just her family, but then the neighborhood got behind her when they saw how good she was, how serious she was, and how far she could go. Then they all started backing her. Once you're serious about what you want to do, people are going to get behind you. But you have to be serious before other people can become serious. Don't be afraid to do it by yourself. So like I said, 3 points. Recognize that there is a box that we have to get out of. Second, change the narrative and just destroy the box. Third, don't be afraid to do it by yourself. I encourage you to get out of the box, get out of your way, because there's stuff for you to do. I want to see you do it. You deserve to do it. So let's get busy and do it. I got your back. Let me know what it is that you want to do. Once again, tag me at Words by Wimberly. I want to hear what it is that you're going to do. I got your back. I know you can do it. You have to believe you can do it. No limitations. None whatsoever. Take this box, throw it away. Like I said, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but don't give up on yourself if you stumble. Change your narrative. It took all this time to create the narrative, Now we're going to gradually have to change it. So let's do it. Let's get busy, everybody. Thank you for your time, and be blessed.